Welcome, welcome everyone. Props for today. For today's class will be 2 blocks and a strap. If you don't have a strap, you can use a resistance band. There's a little bit of balancing in the end if you know that you need some support for balancing, standing balancing postures. You can certainly get a chair or set yourself up near some furniture, wall space. And happy spring. Wow, it just feels so good. It just feels so good. I would like to encourage you in class today. We're going to start on our backs. We're going to start with stillness. And the language of the body is sensation. That is how the body speaks to us. And we need to be generous listeners to that for the benefit of our well-being, right? So when you begin anything really, but certainly when you begin a practice like yoga, if you can come to some stillness and really listen to the sensation of your body, it helps us throughout the rest of the practice. So on your back, if you need a little bit of movement to start, and then settling in and scanning from head to toe, feeling the weight of your body on the floor, on the earth, the support of the earth underneath you. Listening to where you might be holding right now. And if you can, letting go of any holding in the legs, the feet, the hips, your back, shoulders, jaw, face, lots of holding in the face. Noticing, observing what your energy is like, what feelings are coming up for you, even as we do this little exercise in stillness. If you feel anxious, you want to get going, feel the strength of your conviction. So what, if you examine now into your heart, what's important to you? What's important to you in practice? What's important to you as you finish your day or move on in your day? This examination, so valuable. So have your blocks handy, have your strap handy. And then we'll take legs long on the mat. Tuck your shoulder blades underneath your back, underneath your body, so that the whole shoulder blades are touching the earth. And then make sure your heels are still, and then just move your toes back and forth. And begin to feel a rocking through your body, all the way up through your head. And you could make this movement a little bigger, a little softer, just loosen up the cobwebs here. So feet are wide, heels are planted and secure, And then the feet, the toes just going back and forth. Good. And then come to resting and now bounce your legs like two basketballs. So let your knees come off the ground and bounce, 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 bounce. Like you're bouncing a couple of basketballs here. All right, and we'll do some brain work. So now go back and forth. Right leg, left leg, back and forth. Bounce to the right, then the left. And then together. And then whatever leg you started with on the alternating, start with the other one. And then rest, let your feet fall out, let your palms be up towards the ceiling. Take a couple of breaths in the Shavasana shape. Perfect. Great. And then from here, bring your soles of your feet to the floor as wide as the edge of your mat. As wide as the edge of your mat, and then just let your knees move softly back and forth. So we're working today with this strength to move forward. In the springtime, we see everything emerging and there's a newness, a new life. So we're going to work with the strength it takes, the courage it takes to move forward. Coming back to center, you'll need your strap now. And take your left leg long on the floor, strap around the right foot, and bending the right knee, press your leg against the strap and pull back firmly with the strap. And feel engagement in your right leg. The left leg is long on the floor. Press your heel into the floor and feel engagement in the left leg. So your elbows are, you're kind of hovering above the ground. You're pulling in on the strap. And then slowly, with a little bit of resistance, just straighten the right leg. Right? And your leg could be perpendicular to the floor or a little bit further away, depending on your hamstring tightness. And then take the strap, both sides of the strap in your right hand, and open your leg to the right and press your left heel into the floor. Now, your right leg might come all the way to the floor. You might be propped up on your elbow, or you could rest your right leg on a block. Press your left heel into the floor and feel how that helps you to keep the left hip down. Good. And then inhale that right leg back up to center. Take the strap in the left hand and come across your body in a twist with the left leg coming, or right leg coming over to the left. And maybe you can turn your gaze over to your right hand and then engage the muscles in between your ribs on the right side, your intercostals, like you were squeezing there, and see if you can draw your right ribs down towards the floor slightly. They probably won't move at all, but just feel that engagement in your right ribs. Inhale your right leg back up towards the ceiling, slip your left foot in. So now you have both feet in, and just press into the strap with your feet, pull the strap against your feet, and then imagine that you could lengthen the space between your ribs and your hips. So it's almost like you're reaching your hamstrings towards the short end of your mat. Okay. Okay, from here, you're going to press your feet up into the strap, trying to lift your hips. So we've done this a fair number of times without the strap. The strap's going to give you some resistance to push up against, and then you let your hips come down to the earth. So hold the strap tightly in your hand, give some resistance, and press your feet into the strap, and then release. And then press your feet into the strap, release your hips down. Okay, and then a couple more times, 6 to 12 more times on your own. You'll feel your low back reach towards the floor, probably press into the floor. So working here with the lower abdominal region. Then slip the right leg out, right leg long on the floor, bend the left knee in towards your chest, pull the strap against your foot and press back with your foot into the strap. So there's some isometric move work here, right? Right heel presses into the floor. Really press your right heel into the floor. Right leg is active, strong. And then slowly straighten the left leg, whatever is appropriate for you. Don't make it a forward fold by bringing your leg in towards your chest, but perpendicular to the ground. Keep pressing the right heel into the floor. Take the strap, both sides of the strap in your left hand. Open your leg out to the left. Press your right heel into the floor and imagine that you could really ground your right hip down. So that right leg is active, working, strong. Good. Then inhale the leg up and strap both straps in the right hand and come across midline. Big twist. Press through the left foot and press your right heel into the floor. Can you increase the space between your left lower ribs and your left hip by drawing your left hip away from the ribs? You're going to feel a sensation. The sensation's a little different when we really get that engagement there. Inhale back to center. Take both feet back into the strap. Pull against the strap. And then slide your hands down until your elbows just hover above the floor so the biceps are engaged. And press your feet into the strap. Resist firmly with the strap. Good. Then you can slip the strap off and slowly, if you count to 10, lower both legs to the floor. Feel your abdominals working here as you slowly lower your legs down. Good. Once you get down to the floor, point the toes and then flex the ankles. Point and flex, point and flex, point and flex. Both legs are long on the mat. Point and flex, point and flex. And then circle the feet around in one direction and the opposite direction. Great. And release 2 rounds of breath in the Shavasana shape. All right. Soles of the feet to the floor. Soles of the feet to the floor. Bring your right knee into your chest. Take both hands to the shin and really get it in there nice and tight. And you can take some more circles with the right foot here. Going in both directions. And then release your hands, holding your knee in towards your chest. Turn your knee out to the right. So external rotation of the right hip, right? Right knee out to the right. And then bring your left thigh and your right ankle together in a figure 4. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Feel the sensation in your outer right hip. Now set your left foot back down, lift your hips, take them over to the left a couple of inches, and then bring everything over to the right, the whole business over to the right. So you're in another twist. You can turn your gaze to your left hand. And then again, tighten or contract the ribs on the left side. So the intercostals. Contract there like you're trying to pull your ribs down towards the floor. From here, slide your right foot off, set it down on the floor, stack both knees. Inhale, left knee up, right leg up, both feet down, soles of the feet to the floor. Come back to centering your hips and take a couple of rounds of cat-cow on your back here. Big cat-cow movement. So really let it move all the way through your spine. This movement move all the way from sacrum up to the back of your head. Listening, generous listening here. Okay. Great. Then left knee into the chest, both hands on the left knee. Squeeze the left knee in. Squeeze it in. Feel that hip flexor working, and then release your hands. Turn your left knee out to the left. Bring your right leg and your left ankle together and pull everything in towards your chest. Don't put your hands through the space right now. Just pull everything in towards your chest. Feel, listen to the sensation in the outer hip, left hip, buttocks area. Yep, take one more full breath here. And then set your right foot down to the floor. Lift your hips and take them over to the right a couple of inches. And then bring that whole figure four over to the left. Arms are in a T. Contract the right side of your rib cage and try to pull that down towards the floor. You'll feel the contraction as you contract. It's almost like you're squeezing the corset right here, right? Then let your left foot slip off your right leg, stack your knees. You can try that again. Squeeze the right side waist, or the intercostals more, like squeeze in there and try to pull your rib cage down towards the floor. And inhale, right leg up, left leg, press feet into the floor, recenter yourself, and take a few rounds of cat-cow. Beautiful. Good. Let's take a happy baby on one side. So take your right hand to the outside of your right leg and pull your right knee down towards your armpit. The left leg can stay bent, or you can take that leg long. If you take the leg long, really press your left heel into the floor again. With the left leg bent, so the foot on the floor, that's a little more accessible to most of us, but you choose, listening to your body, and draw the right knee down towards the chest. So, we'll do the same shape when we turn over and get on hands and knees or standing. This is a lunge, essentially. Okay. Then from here, can you take your right foot, keep your hand on your right foot, and take your right foot right down to your right buttocks and draw your right knee away. So there's a flexion in the ankle, pretty big flexion in the ankle, and then lengthening on the quad. Right, just do your best there. Okay, and then come back, both feet on the floor, soles of both feet on the floor, position of comfort, couple cat-cow movements. Keep the right foot where it is. Take the outside of your left foot with your hand and bring that leg into happy baby shape, with your knee coming down towards your armpit, the side of your body. Right leg can stay bent or take it long. Press your heel into the floor. Now, when I go to this side, it feels completely different. I have much more stickiness going in this direction. So I'm going to choose to keep my right foot, right knee bent. Listen to your body. Then from here, with your left hand on your left foot, bring it right as close to your buttocks as possible. And sole of the foot all the way down to the floor, and you'll draw your left knee towards the bottom short end of your mat. A lot of flexion in the ankle and length across the front of the leg, the quadriceps. Great. Then release both legs down, wide, feet as wide as the corners of your mat, and that same rocking action. So rock, rock, rock. And bounce, bounce, bounce. Good. Then you can take the back of your, cross your ankles, lift your knees up towards your chest, take your hands to the back of your legs and rock yourself up to right to a seat with your legs crossed, and then just circle through your pelvic bowl. And your circling could be very subtle, or you could make it bigger circles. You decide. Go in both directions. Good. Then from center, take your hands behind you, release your legs, and take your legs so that both feet are pointing over to the right. The left leg will end up in Baddha Konasana, and the right leg will end up in Virasana. So hands stay behind the back, and you'll flip that back and forth a few times. When you go, feet go to the left, the right leg's in Baddha Konasana, and the left leg in Virasana. The next time your feet are over to the right, left leg in Baddha Konasana, right leg in Virasana. If you can, take the top of your foot, right foot, to the floor. So your toes are pointing back behind you. This will facilitate some lengthening in the top of the front of the ankle. If that works for you, okay, sit up nice and tall, lengthen through both sides of your waist, and twist to the left. If that's too painful on the top of the foot, you can release it out so that you're on the inside of your foot. And take a couple of breaths here in this twist. Slowly unwind, take your hands behind your back again, flip the legs to the other side. Same thing here. If you can get the top of your left foot to be down on the floor, your left ankle right in next to your left hip. If that's too painful, just release the foot out and then sit up nice and tall, lengthen through your sideways, and turn to the right in a twist. And from here, unwind and find tabletop. Have your blocks handy at the top of your mat. And in your table, take a few rounds of cat-cow. So in the cow, we're extending the spine, and in the cat, we're flexing the spine. just like any other joint, working through flexion and extension. We've already done a little bit of rotation. Okay, and then walk your hands forward, tenting your fingers. Arms are lifted off the floor and strong. Roll your triceps down towards the floor and bring your hips back towards your heels. So puppy pose. And then let your hands come down to the floor as you slide your hips all the way back towards your heels in child's pose. Reach your hands over to the right. Keep your left hip down and steady and grounded as you open up left side of the waist, left outer armpit. Then walk your hands through center, over to the left. Keep your right hip really grounded. Feel opening through your right side waist, outer right armpit. And walk hands back to center and come sliding forward until your elbows are underneath your shoulders in Sphinx. Draw your navel away from the floor. Press your pubic bone into the floor. Tops of your feet into the floor. Draw your shoulder blades down and in. Keep the back of your neck long. Good. And then from here, just slowly lower to the floor. Bring your arms alongside your body, palms up. Rest your forehead on the floor. Lift your shoulder tops away from the floor. Hands press up towards the ceiling. Lift your head and shoulders. Press the tops of your feet into the floor. And then slowly release. Turn one cheek, temple to the mat. Rock your hips a little bit side to side. And then turn your other head the other way. Rocking side to side. We'll do a couple more back bends here, just firing up the back line. Come back to center. And now take your palms down. Lift like you're going to fly. Palms are down towards the floor. Lift your head and shoulders. Press the tops of your feet into the floor. Draw your navel away from the floor. Squeeze your buttocks, but don't clench. I mean, engage, but don't clench. Tops of the feet into the floor for 3, 2, 1. Release. Take one. Turn your head in one direction and softly rock your hips back and forth. All the while, we're listening to the sensations of the body. Turn in the other direction. Back to center. Take the forehead to the floor. Bring your hands to your low ribs. Squeeze your hands towards one another. So elbows in towards each other. And then draw your hands isometrically back in space. Then lift head and shoulders. Squeeze the elbows in and draw the hands back. Tops of the feet on the floor. Lift a little higher if possible. For 3, 2, 1. Then release down slowly. Turning your head to one side, releasing your arms, rocking your hips. Turning in the other direction. Okay, back to center one last time. Palm the forehead on the floor. Bring your hands right beside your low ribs, right beside that area that we were contracting earlier. And then draw your hands back in space. So elbows in tight, draw your hands back like you're trying to lengthen or stretch out the mat with your hands, but they stay where they are. And then inhale, lift, this time going for length. So don't lift, you don't have to lift high. Just think about lengthening through your spine. Lift your legs now, both legs, buttocks engaged, but not clenched. Point your toes. Feel that nice arch through your back for 3, 2, 1. You'll, instead of going to the floor, you're gonna press through table, reach your hips back, and rest your forearms down, child's pose. You can have a blanket between the thighs and the calves. You can have your knees wide here for this child's pose. And breathe into your back body. On your next inhale, come on up to cow. And on your next exhale, turn toes under, lift your hips, hover your knees, draw your hips back in space, and then straighten the legs in downward dog. Again, the adjustment that you need here. We'll do that a few times. So on your next inhale, drop your knees and come to cow. And on your exhale, forearms down to the floor first, hips back towards heels, child's pose. Inhale, come up to cow. Now turn your toes under, broaden through your back, lift your knees off the floor, hover, then draw your hips back in space, stretching out, lengthening through the arms, the torso, and then stretch the legs long, coming into your downward dog. Take your feet as wide as the edge of your mat. Come up onto your toes in this downward dog. And then slowly pull your heels towards the floor. Keep the hips up towards the ceiling. Your hips up towards the ceiling, and broaden through your upper back by spinning your triceps down towards the floor. Inhale, come forward onto your knees, cow. Exhale, forearms to the floor first, elbows down, and hips back towards heels, child's pose. This time you'll inhale, stand up on your knees and stretch your arms overhead. Interlace your thumbs here and reach your fingers towards the ceiling. Draw your tailbone down. Reach through the crown of your head. Beautiful. And then from here, just let your hands float down to your sides. Take your weight into your left knee and reach your right foot forward. You might want your blocks here, or you can bring your hands to your front thigh, coming down into a lunge. And then from here, either hands to the floor or to the blocks on any height. Turn your back toes under, lift your back leg. And draw your hands back in space. Draw them back isometrically. Lift the back hamstring. Then leave your left hand where it is and spin the right arm up. Coming into a closed twist. Reaching the fingertips up. And then as you release your right hand back down to the floor or to the block, straighten that right leg any amount and come into a fold. Back heel reaching towards the floor, so you get a little stretch in the calf, Achilles tendon back there. Then come forward, so knee is stacked over ankle. We'll lift that front foot and bring it halfway for that modified plank we do. Good. Here you can bend through your elbows and come into a modified little chaturanga movement and back up. And then hips back, right foot back, back to downward dog. If you need to move the blocks out of the way for your downward dog, go ahead and do that. Take your feet as wide as the edge of your mat. Come up onto your toes and then reach your heels down. Feel like you're reaching your heels down, but you're keeping your hips high. Good. Inhale, come to cow. Tops of the feet to the floor. Exhale, forearms down, hips back. Next inhale, you'll stand up on your knees again. Reach your hands overhead. Interlace your thumb in the opposite orientation. Draw your tailbone down. Reach up through your crown. Chin parallel to the earth. Reach through your fingertips. And then slowly let your hands float down to your sides. Now you could bring your knees in a little closer. Put your weight into your right knee, left foot forward. Hands to the front of your thigh. Come into that deep lunge, or you can have your hands on blocks or the floor. We're going there shortly. Feel the sensation in the front of the hip, and then blocks in any orientation around the front foot, or just take your hands to the floor, turn the back toes under and lift. Isometrically pull your hands back in space and take your heart forward. Strong here, strong. Leave your right hand where it is and spin your left arm up. Reaching the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Right hamstring stays lifting towards the ceiling. Then left hand down to the floor of your block. Straighten your front leg any amount. Come into a fold. Keep your hips lifted here. Take your body forward slightly enough so you can pick up your left foot and bring it halfway back. Coming into this variation of a plank. It helps us build strength. You can go halfway down or 2 inches of fold in your elbows and just feel that. Come back. Release your hips back in space till you can come back to downward dog momentarily, and then walk your feet up towards your hands. Bend through your knees. Bring your forearms to your thighs. So you're in a bit of a squat here. Reach your arms out in front, and then slowly press up, stand up, Tadasana. Reach your hands down, palms forward, fingertips reaching towards the earth, chin nice and level with the earth. Take a pause here. This is the recalibration, right? It's our blueprint pose. So recalibrating. Good. Then we'll open up to the long edge of the mat. Look down at your feet just for a sec and just have a nice wide stance. It doesn't, depending on your body shape, maybe your ankles will be underneath your wrists. I have kind of long monkey arms, so I find sometimes that's a little bit long for me, but relatively close to that. Okay, let's come into this with real good intention. So our feet are lined up. We're going to take the left heel and lift it and turn it out slightly. You'll feel an internal rotation in that leg. Pick your right heel off the floor and swivel it in, set it down, then pick up the right toes and swivel them out and set them down. For me, that helps me find the foot position for these warrior poses. And then with hands on hips, just begin to work to that front knee. Imagine the hips sinking down as you bend through the front knee versus your body necessarily leaning forward. So the upper body stays upright. And then you can take your arms out, press your arms into an imaginary wall. And as you inhale, then straighten the front leg, arms come together overhead. And as you exhale, float down to warrior two. Let's take a few rounds here. Strong arms. Put some engagement in your arms, like you're pressing down against the wall or against some water. Now, next time you come down into the warrior two, notice, have you lost connection with the back leg? Isometrically push the front foot forward to engage the back leg. Beautiful. And we hold now in this warrior pose for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, straighten the front leg, both arms overhead, turn both feet. Let your arms float down. Interlace your hands behind your back or take opposite wrist with opposite hand and just take a fold here, releasing your arms from your back body, tucking chin into chest, and then hands to hips as you press up, back to standing. Second side, lift the right heel, turn it out slightly. You'll feel internal rotation in your right leg. Lift the left heel, swivel it in as far as you can, set it down right there, then pick up the toes, swivel them out. Okay? And then with hands on hips, find this nice movement, lubricating through the knee here, the hip, a bit in the ankle, and then find the arms, warrior two. Press down with your hands into a wall. Isometrically push the front foot forward to keep the back leg more engaged. Sometimes we lose the back leg engagement. Then we'll inhale, straighten through the front leg, arms overhead. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. A few more rounds here. Just working into warrior two. And then straighten, the last time you straighten the leg and come with hands overhead, turn both feet, interlace your hands opposite grip, and take a fold. If you have your blocks handy and you want to bring your head to a block, you can. We're not staying long here though. So bend through the knees slightly to inhale back up. Release your hands, shake them out. We're going to go back to the first side. So left heel comes out slightly. Pick up the right heel, swivel it in, set it down. Pick up right toes. Good. And then come down into that same warrior two leg orientation. Reach your side ribs forward. Bring your right forearm to your thigh. Now, we're going to change this up just a little bit. So I want you to bend, kind of bend forward, lean forward like you're looking down at the mat. Take your left hand and encourage your right sit bone, your right hip to come this way, come forward underneath your body. Okay, when you have that, reach the left arm and stack it over the right arm. Bring your left hand back in space and draw your shoulder down draw the head of your humerus down into your shoulder, and then continue, come back and reach through your fingertips. Strong, strong, strong here, strong legs. So you could keep your forearm on your thigh, or if you wanted to go to a block on the outside of your foot, or even your hand to the outside of your foot, you can go there. Right, good, good, good. Now, just straighten your front leg and bring your hand to your shin in Trikonasana. Keep tucking that right side underneath and slide your left hand up a little bit more. So you come up a little bit higher in your Trikonasana. Then bring your left arm over your ear Slide the hand down. Keep the chest open here. Strong Trikonasana shape. Good. Then we bend through the front knee and windmill up. Warrior two. Straighten the front leg. Turn both feet to be parallel. Arms overhead. Let your hands float through heart center. Down to your sides. Take a breath here. You might even close your eyes. A little balance. Engage the legs for better balance. Pull the feet towards one another isometrically, like you're squeezing a big beach ball between your legs. Good, then open your eyes, hands to hips. The right heel goes out now. Lift the left heel, swivel it in, lift the left toes, swivel them out. Find those warrior two legs. Reach the left side ribs forward, bring your left forearm to your left thigh. Kind of bend over. You can take your right hand and encourage your left sit bone, your left hip underneath, the left buttocks underneath. So just pull it underneath, then come back to this chest open position. Reach your right arm, stack your right shoulder over your left shoulder. Right hand back in space. Draw the head of your humerus down so you're stable on your shoulder girdle. And then come back, reaching the fingertips up, 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 up. Now, listen to your back leg. Have you lost engagement there? Isometrically push the front foot forward and reach your outer back heel. So it's the right leg. Reach the back heel towards the floor. Reach it down towards the floor. Feel how that helps you engage. You'll slowly straighten the front leg. Find Trikonasana. And then reach the top arm even higher. Don't lose the engagement on your back, on your shoulder girdle. So keep that engagement there, but you come up a little higher. I'm sort of landed on my knee now with my left hand. I'm in this nice big open Trikonasana. Relax your neck. And then we slide the hand down, the front hand, the left hand down, so that we can bring the right arm over our ear. Right bicep by right ear. You can look down at your front foot. What's going on there with the front hip, the front buttocks? Keep tucking it under the body. Good. And then bend through your front knee. Inhale, windmill up. Straighten both legs. Bring hands overhead. Let your hands float down through center. Hands to hips. Close your eyes. Both feet are parallel, toes pointing forward. Good. Now with your eyes open or closed, bend through your right knee and bring your body over to the right like a skater, and then come over to the left. You can take your hands down to your mat and do this, or you can keep your body a little more upright and do this. Back and forth in a side lunge. And then the next time you're in the side lunge, right leg bent. You're over to the right, whether your hands are down on the ground or up, or your hands are on your hips. Take a twist in that direction, bringing your left hand either right by your left foot or to your outer right, or right foot, sorry, or to your outer right leg, and then twisting in that direction. Straightening your right leg any amount. Bend your right leg again to come back towards center, shifting over to the other side. So I'm upright, and I'm just going to bring my right hand to the outside of my left leg, and then straighten my left leg as I twist. But if I was down on the floor, I'd have my right hand by my right foot, and I'd straighten the left leg and twist. So your choice. Back to center. Straighten both legs. Take a fold here with hands on the floor and head preferably connected as well. So on a block or the floor or a couple of blocks. Hips back, lined up. The back of your sacrum is kind of lined up with your heels, the line of your heels. So the hips are back. If you're on a block, you could roll from side to side with your forehead. It's kind of nice. And then heel toe your feet a little bit towards one another as you lift. Bring your hands to your hips and come up to standing. Good. Then heel toe in a little closer. Bounce your heels. Shake your arms. Imagine you're bouncing the basketballs, you know, you go back and forth with the legs, shaking the arms, shaking the hands. Just getting a lot of good movement in there. We'll do a little bit of balancing here. So just put your weight into your right foot and lift your left leg. Take it out to the left, just like what we did on the floor, and bring it into your body somewhere to your right leg for Vrksasana. And then draw the right hip in, really stabilizing through the legs by drawing the right hip in, engaging the right buttocks. And release and shake and walk around your space and bounce. And we'll try the other side. So put your weight into your left foot, lift your right knee up, take it out to the side, same thing we did on the floor, and then bring it into your calf. You can press against your knee as long as you're not pressing too hard. Rest it on the top of your left foot. Draw your right hip in, pull it in. Balance is different every day. Be kind. Be kind to yourself here. Release, shake, bounce, come to the back of your mat. Inhale, arms up. Interlace your fingers, release your index fingers, draw your tailbone down towards the floor. I'm just going to turn here so it's a little better vision. So reach your tailbone down towards the floor and plug your shoulders, your head of your fingers into your shoulder girdle. Then with a slight bend in your knees, take a fold. Find hands, come to the floor and just walk right to down dog. Rocking forward to high plank. Bring your right knee towards your right wrist and drop down into pigeon shape. Your front leg can be bent any amount in towards your groin. If you feel like you can bring the right leg a little bit more parallel to the front of your mat, you can play with that. Going for sensation but not pain. Listening to our bodies. Good, you'll turn the back toes under, lift. Bring your hips back, find downward dog again. Rock forward, high plank. And bend the left knee, bring it towards your left wrist. Slide the right leg back till you come onto the top of your foot. Front knee bent any amount in the pigeon shape here. From here, just let yourself come over onto your left hip. Sweep both feet around. Find Dandasana. Press your heels into the floor. Hands are behind your back. Press your whole back leg line into the floor. See how much of your back leg line you can have touching the floor. Slide hips towards heels. Take the back of your thighs with your hands and slowly come down. Bring your knees into your chest. You can rub your hands together really vigorously right here. Get some nice heat, and then put that on your knees. A little heating hand heater on your knees, and then roll through your sacrum, giving some nice relief to low back, sacrum. Go in both directions. And we're starting to wind down, so if you're already in Shavasana, that's fine, that's great. And if you need a couple of more minutes of sort of an organic movement, I would suggest a rolling bridge. Or another twist. And you can always do a supported bridge with the block underneath your sacrum, allowing your body now to settle back into that pausing space, that stillness. Supported shoulder stand. Just reach the legs up towards the ceiling. Great cooling inversion here. Have your legs up on a piece of furniture or against the wall here. Do give yourself this gift of stillness at the end of your practice. Going back to that scanning through your whole being, listening to sensation. Where are you holding? Can you let go? What's pulling you forward? And are you being pulled forward with energy and love, or are you being pulled forward with harriedness? I've got this and this and this to do, like a busyness. Very different. I'm going to finish by reading a very short blessing that I think is about beginnings, as we've been talking about the spring and beginnings. And of course, every moment is a beginning, right? So here we go. On each threshold, wisdom. At every doorway, love. Through every entry, grace. With each beginning, peace. On each threshold, wisdom. At every doorway, love. Through every entry, grace. With each beginning, peace. On this day, at this time of beginnings, all your prayers are answered. Everything is waiting for you, friends. Namaste.